Welcome to the Kalahari Desert SpeedWeek 2014, where it's not how fast you go, but how you go fast that matters. With participants making their annual pilgrimage from all corners of South Africa to Hakskiepan, over 200 kilometers north of Uppington, the atmosphere builds.
If it has wheels, we'll time it.
With cars of all shapes, sizes, and capabilities gathering for a week of top speed thrills, the stage is set for great entertainment.
We've had pit bikes going down here, we've had Land Cruisers and Combis going down here, we've had rat rods. Bikes are always going to be our fastest.
It's a 1950s DKW, a Hummel, and the only thing on these pans that'll do 1 kilometer an hour for every cc in the engine.
It's a 1954 International.
We've got a Suzuki Gen 400 that we custom built for SpeedWeek this year.
It's a 1936 four-door Ford with a 1948 side valve machine.
It's a 1964-65 AJS 500 single.
I got a standard 1600 Beetle engine.
It's a 1936 Chef truck. It's a 1960 Army J5 Bedford.
It's straightforward Beamish bug, 1600 twin port, bog standard.
It's a scratch built car. It is based on a running driving car which I bought and then tore apart.
This year the track is a bit loose because of some recent rain we had, so the guys are struggling for traction, but the speeds are still high. The thing is with the rain is it settles as dust, so the top layer will settle down, but if it bakes in the sun like this today, it blisters a bit, and that makes the surface a bit loose.
It's definitely going to affect the bike. It's going to make it more weavier. We did some changes to the bike, so being the weaving from that or the changes, I don't know. We'll have to see.
It's quite loose, the surface, but the car itself is good.
It just becomes very loose, and there's little ruts and lanes, and the car hops around, and it's changing direction. And when you're doing it at over 250, it can be scary.
The track's a bit messy down the bottom, but once you pass that second crew, it's pretty smooth. It's pretty easy.
I think this year's the most challenging. The pan's got a crusty layer on the surface, which turns to sand really quickly. So yeah, the car's moving all over the place.
The Dutchman Porsche seems to have a mind of its own as it slides and pirouettes through the desert.
We can be expecting anything over 300 will be very, very good, because the track is, due to some rain earlier in the week, the track is very, very bad. I basically sit in the empty-in truck with a laptop and I monitor the camera that everything is working correctly and that it's taking photos as it should. It is basically a mobile speed camera that we've adapted for this kind of environment. This camera can go up to 400 km an hour, and I can accurately measure speed up to 600 kilometers an hour.
First up, we're going to have a look at the heavyweights as they take to the pan.
The first one was a bit disappointing. I'm going to try another setting now. I'm going to go on a normal setting. We did 172. It's my very first run, first outing here. So let's just give it another go and have some more fun.
Peter managing to get a top speed of 175.
A lot of the Lamborghini, the engine and so on, but the gearbox, the wheels, everything else is very unlike Lamborghini. It's built more like a Lamborghini tractor than a Lamborghini supercar. Really fast, but really heavy. It's 3.5 tons, so it's a lot of weight to move around. The first test run this morning into the wind wasn't that great. The car was sort of wobbling around. The track at the beginning is a bit soft. It's much better here at the end. I just had a run downwind, and that was fantastic. It was really nice and smooth.
Johan ploughed the Lamborghini tractor across the pan at a top speed of 177. Next up was Tyron Bradley in his 2007 Subaru Forester, and he topped out in the desert at 187. Ready to give it his all was Paul Olivier in his Land Rover. It was to be his only timed run of the event, but Paul made it count and clocked a top speed of 189 kilometers an hour. The black BMW X6 of Richard Hebblethwaite cut a striking sight as he flew past us at 193 kilometers an hour. The silver Mercedes-Benz GL of GJ LaRue proved to be one to beat, all three runs clocking him speeds of 196, 201, and his quickest 206 kilometers an hour. So the final run gave him victory in his category, but his second and third run would have cleaned the podium completely. Hebblethwaite and Olivier took those slots though.
The Northern Cape is our biggest sponsor with regards to monetary sponsor, and without them subsidizing the members, it will be astronomical to actually come to SpeedWeek. So we thank them in actually making this event possible, and without obviously all the participants who make the event, none of this would be what it is today. MTN provides all the infrastructure here on site. We've got pollution blocks with hot and cold showers. We've got a media center here that can accommodate media. We've got a tech center with their support on site the whole time. They supply the registration office and all these things.
Next up, we have a look at one of the most interesting classes on the pan: hot rods, customs, and vintage cars.
Used to be a Bedford Army truck, and the Army wasn't too good to me, so I decided to do something about it. And you'll see the theme is arms down, all the weapons faces down, and it's now modified to be a half-ton truck. Me and my wife are the organizers for Custom Cruises. We're a bunch of friends, and we do all the events that we can with our old cars and anything nice and funny, and no specific theme. If you like cars, you can come with us to any event like this.
No cruising on the pan though, as Andre Allers put pedal to the metal and clocked a top speed of 159.
We did one run without shocks at the back. That was scary. We did 122, that's fine. I aimed for 100. The surface is not tar road, that's for sure.
What did JC think about SpeedWeek?
It's addictive, it's a disease. It's a terminal disease. But it's better than playing golf, I'll tell you that.
And certainly faster than golf, a top speed of 122.
It was a bit scary, eh? The side wings is playing with the car, with all the holes in it and everything, and 40-old suspension, and the first time on the gravel. It's loose, yeah. I'm happy. I was aiming for 140, I got 138. We'll try the second one now, see if I can step on it a bit sooner.
And step on it he did. Herman went down to clock a top speed of 171 with 4 other runs above the 100-mile marker. The stunning blue Pontiac Firebird of R. Barnard makes its move as it accelerates away from the start and heads down the 5-kilometer strip. The Pontiac flying towards the timing beams, kicking up a stream of dust and topping out at 175. The Skull Energy Buick of Byron Peeney was next on the pan to make his mark. Pushing hard from the start with a top speed of 179 in his first run, Byron bettered it on his flying second run past the cameras at 185. The well-tuned Chef Commodore of Eric Mouton sets off down the pan for his only run, but he made it memorable. Eric flew past the cameras and recorded a top speed of 205 kilometers an hour.
It's been an ongoing project over about 3 or 4 years, and it's still evolving. As you see it now is sort of the present incarnation, and there'll be more improvements, more, slight changes to come. Eventually it'll be road legal with a windscreen and lights and a whole lot. So that'll obviously come off when we do SpeedWeek. Managed 202 with it, which is 13 k's an hour up from last year. And I think it's got a bit more to give.
And give it most certainly did, as Barry took his wonderful machine out for its third run and managed to push the needle up to 206 class-topping kilometers an hour.
In the previous years, we had to truck in all the water from about 16 kilometers away. That's the freshest source of water that we've got. This year, we decided to invest in a water pipeline. The pipeline is 16 kilometers of hard digging to get the water pipeline in, and lots of work. The guys came through. So everything is in place, plus the local farmer also benefits from this throughout the year.
Next up, we have some stunning machines and rare specimens from yesteryear.
This car is extremely rare. It's built in 1934. It's one of 37 cars manufactured in Canada. There were in total 77 4-cylinder 34 roadsters manufactured. We wanted to bring a car that's different. It's something that's authentic, it's unmolested, original, never been off the road. It was restored about 50 years ago. And you'll see the paint is cracking, but that adds to the patina.
What a striking figure the 1934 Ford Roadster makes as it speeds along the flat pan. Andrew at the wheel, bringing it home with a top speed of 73 kilometers an hour. Not bad for an 80-year-old car.
It's been such a success because we run this buggy down the track, I don't know how many times, because we're all sharing and we're trying to beat each other's time, and we were trying to get our big 3 figures of 100 kilometers an hour. And I know it doesn't sound fast, but it's damn fast in that beach buggy, let me tell you.
Everyone in the poker club had a turn, but only one man could crack the 100 mark.
It was quite exhilarating, I must say. I thought I had it, and when I went through, I was like raging. I was like giving the arm up.
The Kalahari Ferrari, as it's now affectionately known, really provided great fun for the guys as they took it up and down the 5-mile stretch over 12 times.
Dad's been restoring cars for his whole life, so I've been involved my whole life as well. We do some drag racing, we do some of this. It's part of what we do.
Dalmain and the 1936 Chev post a top speed of 136.
At Dutchman, we build high-end Porsches, which we then export, and we focus specifically on classic Porsches. We put 5 decades of brand new Porsche bits and pieces into old Porsches, and then we race them.
It was absolutely incredible. I've never been so scared before. It was absolutely wild. Difficult to control. It's not as easy as it looks. There's just sand and it's torque, and you just hold on tight.
I've had my first test run, very good. It's, to be honest, never as easy as it looks. It's a bit like driving a boat, to be honest, because you're consistently floating around, but all very good. We're going to do some real runs now and see if we can get to 200.
Gavin didn't quite manage 200. He topped out at 176.
We did 164 k's an hour on our first run. Very, very loose. A couple of times I thought I was going to spin out. But you can't stay on the throttle all the time. It's not possible because the car doesn't have any traction. But it's fun. I was hoping to reach about 180 k's an hour, but I don't know. I think I'm a little bit over enthusiastic about that one because of the loose gravel. But if I could do 160 k's an hour and I can get into the 100 mile an hour club for little Datsun, I think that's fast.
Francois far exceeded his hopes and managed a top speed of 189 in his 40-year-old Datsun.
The advantage of this year is there's more tracks available, so there's fresher track to run on, which makes a big difference. You're actually running against your own car by trying to get the advantage and trying to get that speed that you're actually aiming for and so on. And it's a total different experience than running on a tar. On a tar, this car is capable of 240. And on SpeedWeek, on 5 kilometers, it's a total different ball game. Wind, traction factors, spinach on the pan slows you down. Our second test run, we made official. I did a 197. At the end of the day, my aim is to go for a 200. I would like to break the 200. One of the Porsches done a 203. If I can break that, I'll be jumping up and down from happiness.
Pierre's dancing shoes were at the ready as he managed 206 in his fabulous 40-year-old bug.
Los Moedas is a custom motorcycle shop and coffee shop in Cape Town where we customize old classic motorcycles, and we also have a lot of fun. We've always been into cars and bikes, and once the shop was up and running, we decided to do an annual thing up to SpeedWeek, bring the bikes up, bring the cars up, and just enjoy it. There are about 15 to 20 of us. We're all just really coming up for the fun of it. There's no competition, maybe a bit of banter, but no real competition. As long as we're having fun, it's the main thing. We've brought up the usual 68 GTO, which did a nice speed yesterday. We've brought up 2 old 80s Porsche turbos, El Camino Bucky, and then there are a couple of little rat rods and things thrown in between.
How was the track feeling?
It's very loose. It's a lot of fun. It takes you for a ride, but it's definitely the most exciting.
Craig didn't go slower than 200 on the pan with his Pontiac GTO and managed a top speed of 208 in his 5th run. Michiel Simmons decided to bring his stunning 1965 Ford GT40 to the pan and test its speed. As it rumbled away, it certainly sounded the part. After a few sighting runs to get the feel for the pan, he put his foot down and clocked 212 kilometers an hour. Ray Faber's Martini Porsche was up to speed and he powered down the pan, hoping to trounce the GT40, but all he could do was equal the time. Joppy Strauss in his Porsche 911 Carrera leaves the start line, picks his lane, and prepares himself for the long 5-kilometer stretch out in front of him. It's only the last 100 meters that count, so it's a case of ensuring you are happy with your car and the pan before you give it your all. And give it his all is what Joppy did as he clocked 217 kilometers an hour. 5 kilometers an hour, faster than the closest driver. It wasn't only top speed runs happening at the Pan. There were fashion shoots, kite runs, and even an extreme parachute jump out of a helicopter. Join us after the break for more action from the desert.